with Brandon Ayuk's status kind of up in the air. Obviously, he's under contract. The 49ers picked up his 5th-year option, but you've seen the news, you've heard the rumors and the speculation and all those different types of things. So that makes today particularly interesting for the simple fact that it's wide receivers and running backs. Now, running backs not as much, just because the 49ers have CMC locked in. They have Jordan Mason, they have Elijah Mitchell. So they're doing pretty good at running back. But in regards to wide receiver, we've got 2 wide receivers that are kind of up in the air. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk is expected to return next season as he's under contract. But we also know that him and John Lynch are, working through a contract negotiation. So we'll see how that goes. And same thing with Jauan Jennings. Obviously, John Lynch has talked about that as well, wanting to bring back Jauan and give him a contract extension and or tender him at maybe a second round value. So it will be interesting though, because behind those 3, and obviously Deebo Samuel's under contract, you have Danny Gray, who was able to get on the field last year, Ray McLeod, who's been seldom used, primarily returner, and you had Chris Conley as well, and then you had some practice squad guys. But it does appear that the San Francisco 49ers are looking to potentially upgrade at the wide receiver position, because they are checking in on some pretty big time wide receivers that are going to be going high. So specifically, I'm going to start with the ones that I've spoken to. So I spoke to Xavier Legette of South Carolina. Now, obviously, this is a cool one because he knows Deebo Samuel. I asked him about Deebo. He said they talk every week. So there's a natural connection there. But he feels bigger. He feels like a big-bodied wide receiver. I think he might be around 6'1", 6'2", but he plays much larger than that. And he is a physical, think of, like Deebo, just a little bit bigger, and a little bit more just a threat down the field. So this is a guy that's very intriguing. As a prospect I've had my eye on for a while, and I think could be a great addition to the San Francisco 49ers. And obviously, too, on top of that, and that was a formal meeting with him, by the way, so that's a legit meeting. And then they also met with Huskies wide receiver Jalen McMillan. Again, kind of a similar style, wide receiver, big body, can high point, can also be gritty, yards after catch, go over the middle, kind of 6'1", about 200, but again, just plays much larger than his size would indicate. 49ers had a formal meeting with him as well. So that's another very intriguing prospect, and arguably one of the most intriguing wide receiver prospects, in my opinion, is they met with Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy. And one of the reasons why I think this is one of the more intriguing formal interviews that the San Francisco 49ers have had is because this guy's a burner. He was talking at the podium about breaking John Ross's 40 record, which I think was he ran a 4.22 40. He thinks he's going to get in the 4.2s. And the 49ers had a formal meeting with him. So these 3 wide receivers, they might not be first round. They could be borderline first round, but they kind of feel like second round, maybe kind of mid-second. So it could be a situation where, the 49ers are potentially looking to target a wide receiver in the second round. Maybe they trade up, who knows? Because it does feel like as well, the first pick could be defense. It feels like it could be edge or it feels like it could be cornerback with Kool-Aid McKinstry. We know that the 49ers had a formal with him as well. So that's kind of where the trends are trickling towards. It feels like, and again, I know a lot of people want offensive line. That could be an option as well, but it does kind of feel like could be a defense, edge, cornerback, potentially in the first. And then beyond that, you could be looking at potentially going and addressing some offensive spots like wide receiver in the second. And I've talked about it in a previous video. The 49ers also had a formal meeting with Brandon Rice. So again, second, third round wide receiver could definitely be in play. I talked to another Texas wide receiver, Whittingham, I believe his name is. He's a converted running back, but I mean, this dude he's the most built wide receiver at the podiums today. And he talked about his yards after catch and the conversations that he's had with the 49ers and how it's been more predominantly about yards after catch, making guys miss. And he talked about how that's a huge skill set of his. So that could be a very interesting option for the San Francisco 49ers. So what it really feels like it's coming down to is that, again, some of the trends that we're finding is that it feels like the 49ers could very well go wide receiver second or third round. That feels like where they could be targeting a guy. Again, we mentioned some names. There are also some other prospects that I know Rohan got potential projected first-round draft pick. A wide receiver out of LSU. His name is escaping me at the moment, but if you go to Rohan's Twitter, you'll be able to figure that out. So, again, a big part of what we're doing in the information gathering process is we're trying to discern and determine and track these trends of who the formal meetings are with. And then we're trying to discern what's the trend within the position groups. And the trend within the position groups is, they're meeting with guys that kind of have second, third round grades. So then you start to log it in your brain. Well, maybe the 49ers are targeting a wide receiver in the second and third. Maybe they're targeting edge or cornerback in the first. So that's how we start to determine. And of course, it's very important to remember as well that we still have free agency. So we have to get through free agency, and depending on who they sign, that is really going to determine who the 49ers draft and what positions of need they need to go after. And if there's anything that we've learned about the 49ers is they try to fill every hole with some form of a stopgap in free agency, so that they're going into the draft with no perceived needs. Now, that allows them to be flexible. Ideally, go best player available. We've seen them draft for need quite a bit, but the trends are starting to come together. So today's big trend is wide receiver, second, third round. Let me know what you guys think about any of these guys. If you would like any of them, let me know who you'd pick in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.